Hi and welcome. I'm Lisa. Thanks for joining me here on my website or YouTube channel for another card video. Today I'm sharing a quick Valentine's card with you, and I'm going to be using the new Voodoo stamp from Whimsy Stamps January release. Now I'm going to start doing a video every week with some Whimsy Stamps products, so you want to be sure to click that subscribe button and hit the notify bell so you won't miss out on anything. And here's a look at the Voodoo stamp. I think this is such a neat take on Valentine's Day. These guys are super cute, and I love the sentiments that are with this set. So I'm going to go ahead and get started by using a piece of 80-pound cardstock and go ahead and put that in my MISTI. And then I positioned the stamp so that I could leave myself some room for stenciling underneath there. And then using my Memento Tuxedo black ink, I'm going to stamp him a couple of times just to make sure I don't miss any areas while I'm stamping. I come in with a T ruler and a Copic multi-liner, and I'm just going to extend those lines out on each side of him just to create like a top of a wall there. So I created a mask using a Post-it note, and then I just need to mask off anything that's below the line. And I'm going to cover the rest of that up with a piece of scrap paper. We're going to do some stenciling and some airbrushing, so I want to make sure that I have everything covered. So I'm going to stencil the brick wall first, and I'm just going to use the brick pattern stencil from Whimsy Stamp. I'm going to go ahead and line the top of that brick pattern up to that line that I drew across the paper, and use a little piece of purple tape to hold that stencil in place, so when I come in and start adding my ink, my stencil won't shift around. Now I'm using a pigment ink. You could use any ink you have available to you, dye ink, whatever you have. But if you're using pigment ink, you might want to let it dry for a little bit, or take your heat gun and dry it so that you don't smudge the ink once you're done with the stencil. I just went in with the heavy pressure in the center of the stencil and then lightened that pressure as I worked my way out just to lighten the color up some. Now I have a stencil here that has some little hearts on it, and they look like they're kind of floating, but I thought it might be kind of fun to airbrush these on here and make it look like maybe faded out graffiti. So I'm doing something I have not done in years, and that's using my Copic airbrush. Now all it is some cans of air, and you just attach your little attachment to the top of it by screwing it on, and then slide your Copic marker in. I don't have a fancy airbrush system, but this one does great for me because I don't use it all the time, but I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun doing that. So this is a point where I wished I had to have thought this through differently. You know how when you're making a card and you're just moving through it and you're like, oh, this will be really cute. And then after you do it, you're like, well, I wished I'd have done that differently. Well, that's how I feel about this. I wished I'd have done this in a lighter color. It's not horrible, but I just think a lighter color would have been a little bit better. So I'm leaving it though. We're moving forward with it. I'm not going back and doing it again. Maybe if I redo it, I'll do it in a lighter color then. But as for now, it's going to be fine. So I'm going to come in with my Copic markers, and my first layer of color is going to be E41. And then I'm just going to start coming in and adding a little bit of shading in with E42 and E43. Now I went ahead and added the R29 and R59 to the heart on top of that push pin. One thing I really have found that I enjoy doing is using my Polychromos to add shading and details to my stamps after I color them with my Copic markers. I think it's because I have a softer hand with the pencils, and I can get into smaller areas a little bit better with the pencils. So I'm going to go ahead and color his little button eyes with R29 and R59. And then I'm going to add some gold details to it with the gold gel pen. So I just did little dots where the thread would come through the button with the gold pen, and then colored in each push pin there. I'm also going to add a little more shading to that push pin, and then I'm going to come in with a white gel pen and add some detail to that heart. So other than that, I'm pretty much done with the coloring. And I went ahead and I cut this down to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in my MISTI so I can stamp the sentiment. Now, I did not realize at the time that my stamp had a little bit of fuzz on it. So I ended up with a few little specks of stray ink here and there. Not a problem. We have a Tombow sand eraser and we can use that to clean it up. But I don't like to use the Tombow a whole lot at one time because it does remove layers of your paper. So if I find that I have some places that I can't get it off with a light erasing with that Tombow sander, I'll go in with a white gel pen and just go over those little areas. And this is what I did for years to clean up any little mistakes I made when I was coloring or things like that. And it works great. So while I love the sand eraser, it does do an amazing job. I also still enjoy using my gel pen some to clean up little areas. So I went ahead and used my ATG tape to adhere that to a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch red card base. And I did cut a piece of white 80-pound cardstock down to go on the inside, and I'm going to stamp that XOXO in the bottom right corner. Now, I like to leave the inside of the card with a lot of empty white space for handwritten notes. I did finish this off with some black enamel dots, and I do believe that's it. We're done. So let me know below what you think of this cutie. Would you have used the black ink or would you have used a lighter ink for the XOXO on the stenciled brick wall? I always encourage you to leave comments and suggestions below. I love hearing from you guys. I love reading your comments. They're so encouraging because you guys are so kind, and I like responding to your comments. So be sure to leave your comments and suggestions. And I hope you enjoyed joining me again and that you were inspired enough to head into your crafty space and create something amazing today. Be sure to click that subscribe button and the bell so you'll be notified of new videos coming. And if you could click that thumbs up button, that would be awesome. As always, please know how much I appreciate you taking your time to watch my video. And until next time, keep crafting.